Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gary Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to talk about Hawkeye Episode 3, Echoes. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about the first two episodes of Hawkeye. As you guys know, I had a great time with it. I enjoyed the hell out of myself. I thought it was very well done. I thought we got a great introduction to Kate. We got a great introduction to Hawkeye and where he is in his life. We got a great, We did a great job of setting up the pieces on the board. There were some really cool little action set pieces. There was some really hilarious moments, particularly the Rogers the musical and the LARPing scene. In particular, in the LARPing scene, those two were the standout hilarious sequences. And overall, it was just this fun, nice little light MCU holiday thing, it wasn't the mind-blowing, it wasn't going for anything over the top, it wasn't going for anything as heavy as Falcon and the Winter Soldier it's not going for anything as weird as WandaVision or Loki. It's just going for just simple street level stuff, and I think that kind of threw a lot of people off, because I saw a lot of complaints about there not being too much happening. I saw a lot of complaints about there not being enough action, same kind of complaints I saw and a few other things by the same kind of complaint that was starting to be lobbied at Falcon and the Winter Soldier about midway through. I saw a lot of complaints about certain aspects of it, that they wish it was a bit more darker, that they were just there's some complaints out there right now. It's not that bad because for crying out loud, those shows sitting on a 93 overall Rotten Tomato score and it's halfway through, so needless to say, it's probably going to end up being somewhere in the 90s, just like all the other Disney Plus shows. And particularly with this episode, which ramps everything up from the previous episodes to be the best episode so far out of the three, it's heading in the right direction. Now, personally, only issue I only had one issue, and it wasn't really even an issue per se. It was just I did notice, and I agree with some people who thought that the action was not as high, especially when you compare the first two episodes to this episode, because all disclosure, there are two directors, well, three, but two directors on this show. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, and then there's that duo director, like Bert and Birdie or whatever. They're directing duo, and then there's some other, and then there's the guy who directed the first two episodes. The episode 3 is the first episode directed by Bert and Birdie, and the complete contrast in terms of how well it's shot. It's not like one of those things. It's what it is. It's not like one of those things where the first two episodes were shot like crap and the action was crap. No, it's just what's the word I'm looking for? It's like having a backup quarterback come in and it's like having a backup quarterback on a Super Bowl team. And the backup's serviceable. They come in, they do what they need to do, they make a couple plays, but there's gonna come a point where they're the backup, and you're like, they're not bad. But then you see a superstar come in and take over that same role, and you see them elevate the team, and you're just like, oh my gosh. It's not like what that backup was doing was bad. It's that's what I felt about the first two episodes, the way it was directed. I didn't have a problem with the way it was directed. I didn't have a big problem with the way the action was directed. It just wasn't dynamic. It just didn't have that oomph to it. It wasn't the most spectacular. But then you watch this episode, and there are some action shots in this that are just spectacular and well done and well edited and well worked. And it's you can tell that this is a these are completely different directors working on this episode than the previous two episodes. And you do walk away thinking, at least I did and many others by the end of this episode, going, I kind of wish they had directed the whole thing. But it's not like it's not like because I enjoyed the first two episodes, especially. I think they handled the comedy well. But Bert and Birdie, clearly they were the directors who were on the marquee when the show first got announced, and it feels they should have It makes a lot of more sense now. Hopefully they come back to do more stuff with Marvel, because this was really good. I probably bet money that they're probably directing the second episode too, so hopefully we get some even cooler action set pieces. But I digress. There was, like I said, a lot of complaints. One silly complaint was which they have there's a whole anti-SJW woke, anti-woke like subgroup in the nerddom community that are like out, like they're like, oh my god, why is Kate Bishop so good? She's too good. She's beating up people. First of all, she's beating up the tracksuit mafia. These are clearly dumb sons of bitches who are the lowest of the low on the totem pole. So first of all, she's beating up literally the weakest criminals that she could be fighting against. So that's number one, and it does like. Second of all, she is trained. She has thrown grown men around, and like they showed it in the intro. She has been trained. She's been training. She's 22, and they said it. She's been training in martial arts since she was 5 years old. 5-year-old. She can't handle a bunch of dumbass Russian dudes. Yeah, she can do that. And not only that, but unless you weren't paying attention, she made tons of mistakes, and in the end of the first episode, she had gotten way over her head, and she needed to be saved by Hawkeye. So all these people trying to push this whole SJW thing, like there's already a tinge of people saying this show's gonna fail because it's SJW. How is it SJW? Because it focuses on a woman. God damn, boy. Damn. Damn. Really? We all knew what this was going into it. Never mind. All those dudes are idiots. Getting into this episode, the Echoes. We introduce the character of Echo. I think it's Maya Lopez. Is it Maya Lopez? Is it? No, maybe that's the actress name is Maya Lopez. I can never remember what the actual character Echo's name is. Either way, is it Maya? I think it's Maya. Let's just say it's Maya. And either way, Echo is the leader of the Tracksuit Mafia, or at least she's the field leader. We get a nice little origin story for Echo that is very closely and very similar to Kate's origin, ironically. We see that her and her father had a very close relationship, and we see that Echo is a Native American death character, which is something that you don't see quite often. Honestly, you don't really see a lot of Native American. I can't think of many Native American superheroes, so that's pretty cool that they got a Native American character on screen. Not only is she a Native American character, she got 2 handicaps because the actual actress in real life has a prosthetic leg, so they gave the character a prosthetic leg. So that's another thing. Like on top of that, boom. And she overcame all that, and you see her, like, she has to read lips, and she has to really read people to really learn. And you see her interaction with her father, and they're very sweet and touching. And then it all leads up to her as an adult, and Ronin, back when Clint was still Ronin, murders a bunch of the Tracksuit Mafia, including her father. So now she has a vendetta out on Ronin. Now I've seen a lot of people go, specifically, who shall not be named, saying that, oh, well, this is terrible. How can Clint be a good person after he did this? He killed her. He killed him. I'm like, hold up, time out. Y'all do realize he's a criminal, right? Like Hawkeye wasn't going around killing fucking cats, dogs and cats. Like all the people we know he killed were Yakuza and cartel members. Clearly, fucking Echo's dad was up to some shady shit. He's probably killed people himself. So I'm not gonna shed a tear over. I mean, was it sad? Yes. Does it make things complicated? And do I understand why she wants him dead? Yes. But I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, Hawkeye, you awful person for killing this hardened criminal. Like, what? Come on. What? Come on. Now, anyways. So we get into it after we get this beautiful introduction. We get more hilarity between with Kate Bishop and Hawkeye being annoyed with her. We get a nice interrogation, nice callbacks to Endgame with Clint saying that Black Widow killed Ronin, because in a way, Black Widow did kill Ronin. She killed Ronin and released Clint and let him be hot and let him be able to redeem himself. Took him right off the edge that he was threatening to jump off of. So in a way, Black Widow did kill Ronin, but of course, fueled with rage and determination to get vengeance on the man who killed her father, Echo didn't want to take that for an answer. Clint had to make a daring escape, and we got some cool arrow play. Like, it was really freaking cool seeing Clint use a bow like this, because we don't often get to see him use his, like, we got to see him use his bow in the movies, but we really don't get to see, we don't often get to see him use it against a group of people, you know, like badass style, just like, you know what I mean? We don't really see that. Like, most of the time when you see Clint, like, we saw him fighting, you know, most of the time when you see Clint, he's taking out robots or aliens, but seeing him in his element against people, it was really dope. He made some really cool shots, particularly that jump off the balcony, twisting in midair, coming back and flinking a shot. Look, you know me, guys, I'm into bow and arrow, so this shit was just amazing to me. And it all led into a chase sequence that was beautifully done with an amazing one shot where the camera's inside the car and it's spinning, which, by the way, I know for a fact that they really did this shit, because I remember back when they were making it, there was shots of the car and like a fucking camera on the car with them in the car going down the road. So I know they actually shot that. So that's pretty freaking cool, man. That is a pretty cool shot to get. The action picked up ridiculously. It was a fast-paced chase with a bunch of comedy coming from Kate not knowing what arrows Hawkeye was gonna give her to shoot. By the way, Hawkeye, his earpiece was missing, his hearing aid got broken, so he can't hear anything. Like, clearly, from the vibe I get, is one of his ears is completely gone. Like, he is shot. One of his ears is completely shot, and his other ear is basically shot. Without the hearing aid, he can't hear anything at all. So he's pretty screwed. Now, granted, that does get to one complaint that I could say about the whole, but this is about the whole MCU in general, is when you introduce that Wakanda exists and that they can just heal death, like heal dudes getting shot in the spine, you kind of go, I'm pretty sure they probably could help you out with your hearing problem, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard when you, because that's the one thing that comes out of, that's the one negative about a cinematic universe, is certain injuries and certain things, it kind of doesn't make any sense that you guys could just call up the Wakandans and they could fix your ear. Or in the case of, like, it's kind of like in Infinity War when Thor had an eye missing, I'm like, well, he's out of space, Rocket's got all rockets, and you know, like, when Rocket gave Thor that eye, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, he probably has it, he's still body parts all the time, he's in outer space, I'm pretty sure he could get a new eye, you know, I don't know why he would just have an eye patch the whole time. He could, like, he's in, like, it wouldn't make it, like, when you sat back and thought about it, you'd be like, why don't he just get a new eye? And the same thing here, I'm thinking to myself, like, the whole time, like, well, I guess he could always just kind of go to Wakanda and they could fix up his ears. Maybe they will do that, maybe they will, but it does seem like they really want to play up this whole death thing because they're really trying to give attention to that. But so we'll see how far they go with it, or if his ears do get fixed, or if they really do push it in that direction of him just being a deaf character. We'll see. Oh, I don't think so, because they don't even do that in the comics. He's deaf for times, and when his earpiece gets damaged, but he's not like fully a deaf character, so I don't think they're gonna do that here either. Either way, the action sequence is badass. The action sequence is amazing, and it all culminates. And like they're shooting off different trick arrows and whatnot, but then he pulls out a PYM particle trick arrow. This is something I had only heard about in the comics. And the comics is different, because in the MCU, he has a PYM particle arrow that just makes something big. Whatever he hits, he just makes it larger. In this case, he had Kate shoot an arrow up in the air, shot the arrow, and it turned to a giant fucking arrow. I mean, it basically turned to a freaking pillar. Like, a pillar just landed on the back of that car. But in the comics, it's like an arrow. It's like an arrow that's full of other arrows. Like, it's like when he shoots it, the PYM particles expand those arrows, and it's just like a wave of arrows. It's like he's a one-man. You know that scene from 300 with Black in the Sky? Yeah, Hawkeye can do that with like two arrows by himself. Just black in the sky. But they didn't do that here. They made it a different kind of PYM arrow. But just having that in there was beautiful. It was fun. I love that it just said PYM on the side with the logo, which means that someone made that for him. I don't know if it was Scott. I don't know if it was Hank. But someone would have to make it for him to have the logo and everything. But that was awesome. Then we got into some more heartbreaking stuff with Clint wanting to get home to his family and just feeling like he's missing time with them and wanting to get back in their good graces. And then we kind of continue the mystery. Now, the big thing that people are talking about, and I'm only going to slightly touch upon this because I might end up making a whole nother video talking about it, is the whole who is Echoes Uncle. There's a character they refer to as Uncle, and you only see his hand, and you hear him chuckle, and you see his suit. And everybody's pretty much saying it's Wilson Fisk. And now I'm holding off. I'm holding off. I am very much holding off because I'm a little nervous about that. I don't want to jump the gun there, you know. I'm still under the mindset that introducing him would still be sort of like this random thing. So hopefully, even if he is in this, he'll be a bad. Plus, it is kind of weird that he's basically referred to as the head of the tracksuit mafia. Like, he's not the head of crime. He's just the guy who runs the tracksuit mafia. So I'm not sure. We shall see. We shall see what this whole thing ends up leading up to. Who this uncle is. I am curious. I am very curious. I am very keen. Honestly, I don't know. I don't want to piss on people's parades. People are really hyped up about this Wilson Fisk thing, and I am not going to be the guy to be like, I don't know. So, you know what? Maybe it is Wilson Fisk. That would be nuts. It would be nuts if it was Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk. Either way, I hope that he comes in organically, because like I said, even as of right now, it still feels like it'll just be like, Kingpin's here. It's like, oh, okay, okay, like no, like, you know, real setup, no, like let him be introduced as the villain in the show, you know, no, he's a surprise, Kingpin's here, you know what I mean? I don't know. Either way, I had a great time with this episode. This is the best episode, and episode is the best representation of the show so far. It gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.